to a new video. I think this will be my first video completely in English, and well, I want to tell you about my experience in Italy and in the Perugia International Journalism Festival. So welcome to the video. I arrived to England 6-8 months ago. I arrived in September, and I don't know, I think it's been so great. I've been living different experiences, I've been learning too much, but at some point I realized that I forgot why I became a journalist. I mean, my major is in journalism, and the International Journalism Festival was an opportunity for me to reconnect with the journalism, with the craft and all of that. So first of all, I arrived to Milan because I had some family to visit and some friends to meet. So yeah, Milan was my first stop, and I wasn't prepared for what it was going to make me think about. Joined a walking tour, and the guide started telling us about Milan history, how it was once the capital of the Roman Empire, how it had been invaded, destroyed, burned down multiple times through history. And yet, here it was, still standing, still alive, full of people living their lives next to centuries of collapsed empires. Mind-blowing thinking if humanity has always been like this, and if it has, how did it keep going? I didn't find the answer in Milan, but I found something useful, a reminder that the collapse is not the end of the story. And apart from the beauty of Milan and the ruins of the empire, I also had the chance to visit Bergamo and Como, which it was stunning. So let's enjoy again a little bit of the views of Bergamo and Como. After enjoying these views, I started my journey through Perugia, where the journalist festival took place. In my journey to Perugia, I went to Florence, and it was slightly different. Honest with you, I felt disconnected there. Don't take me wrong, it was beautiful. I just spent one day and I felt that I was a foreigner taking pictures next to other foreigners. We were all looking at the same things, photographing the same bridges, but no one of us were really touching the city or living it. We were just passing through it. Sometimes that's what travel is, and that's okay. Florence gave me beauty without a lesson. Finally, my destination, my objective of arriving to Italy. I was in Perugia. Every year, the city hosts one of the most important journalist festivals in the world. Journalists, editors, reporters, creators, people who have dedicated their lives to telling stories all in one place. I arrived not completely sure that I belonged there, surrounded by people who seemed to know exactly why they were in that room. There was a side event about building independent media. I found a seat and I just hope no one would notice that I had no idea what I was doing there. The person sitting next to me turned and asked if it was my first time at the festival. And just like that, we were talking. At some point I told her about my background, my doubts, that feeling of being in the room where anyone seemed to know exactly why they belonged, except me. That imposter syndrome doesn't disappear when you become relevant. You just learn to try anyway. And that's what I'm doing here. My first video in English talking about my experience, and I don't know, maybe find a way to reconnect with my journalistic background. But this person also said something that I kept coming back to. She said, "You're already here. That's not nothing." And that's one of the biggest reflections of this trip. I was there, I was in the conversations, I was inside. What I'm gonna do with that? I went to Italy to visit family, friends, but also as a student for a field trip. But I arrived to England trying to be a journalist. And what that actually means, not just as a job title, but as a responsibility. Milan showed me that humanity has survived every collapse it's ever faced, not because it had certainty, but because somewhere someone kept telling the story of what was happening, kept communicating, kept showing up. Florence reminds me that sometimes you're just passing through, and that's okay. And finally, Perugia reminds me that people who seem most certain, the ones in the rooms you're afraid to walk in, they're trying to figure it out too. I'm not gonna tell you that I came here with all the answers, but I think I have very questions. And one of the questions is why I am speaking English y no hablando español, que es mi lengua materna. Y creo que desafortunadamente tengo que entender en el contexto en el que estamos, y si quiero llegar a más personas o contar las historias que conozco, debo empezar a intentar hablar en otro idioma y otros idiomas. Ahorita inglés es uno de ellos, pero me gustaría seguir aprendiendo muchos más idiomas para poder contar lo que estoy viendo. Creo que cuando digo que quiero ser periodista, no quiero ser el que te da las noticias, quiero ser el que cuenta las historias con algo de criterio. Igual siguen habiendo muchas preguntas por responder y la verdad quería compartir este video y lo estaba haciendo en inglés para mostrar que muchas veces de formas inesperadas hay cosas que nos conectan con quién somos. So thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, give a like, comment, subscribe, and I'm not sure what's next, but if you want to keep in touch, follow me and subscribe. Gracias por ver un nuevo video. Nos vemos en el próximo con más y mejor. Hola.